And a good Wednesday night, everyone. Thanks for joining for this Tropics After Dark, presented by Malone Roofing Services. As always, we appreciate our partners and our sponsors during this season. Again, Malone has been with us for a couple of seasons now, so we definitely appreciate them. And of course, the tropics are heating up as we thought they would be once we got into August and then heading into September as well. How's everyone doing tonight? Valerie, good to see you on here. Jeremy, good to see you. Hey, Priscilla as well. Donna, thanks for joining tonight. Miranda, good evening, Jim, to you. How you doing, Kayla? So, of course, we're tracking Invest 99 out there in the Caribbean tonight. And last night when I was looking at some different modeling and, some different things happening on the models last night and just how things were coming together, I had posted something at 2 a.m. before I had actually gone to sleep because I can't really go to sleep during this time of year, without checking every last thing that comes in, and really the last thing I look at is around 2 a.m. So I posted something last night, and I said, tomorrow social media is going to be going crazy. So I wanted to get something out there just to kind of let y'all know what was going on and, not to be too concerned right now, but this is the story, and yeah, here we go. So, what is different about this one versus like Fred and Grace and the ones we had earlier in the season? Well, the first thing is time, right? Where we are right now in the season. We are in really the heart of hurricane season now, or maybe not the heart, but, well, actually kind of the heart, right? This is the peak of the season. This is that time where we've seen, if you look back, back in the past of when we've had some of the storms that have been memorable, unfortunately. We don't want to remember them, but this is the time where they usually happen. And so this is why we need to pay very close attention to what this one is going to do moving forward, potentially impacting us along the Gulf Coast. I had said this on the page. I don't say anything to scare anyone. I don't post things to make people very nervous or anything. That's not what I do. What I do is give everybody the potential of what could happen, and we always hope that it doesn't happen. But I was straight with y'all last year, with Laura, and years before that with Maria, Irma, all those in the past, okay? If I see the potential for something that could be concerning, I'm going to let y'all let you know, because why would I not, is really the question there. So we got some trolls, and they say I'm hyping things, and that's fine. The majority know that I'm not, and I will deal with the ones that do. I really don't care anymore. So this is the deal with Invest 99. Right now, there is really nothing there currently, right? It's not a named storm. It's not even a depression. It's not a tropical storm yet. Does that mean anything? Not really, right? Because they all started like this, right? All the ones that do become, pretty significant threats always start out like this, right? It's the infant stage. We do expect this to become something, though, and that's the point, right? Yes, there's not a low-level center, and the models might be guessing a little bit right now. But what's more concerning to me is not where it may end up right now, although that is important, but it's impossible to know that right now. What's more important to me right now is the majority of the models showing the strengthening that's going to be happening, okay? And that, to me, is the more concerning part. We'll figure out landfall. Yeah, we're going to figure out landfall. We're not going to figure that out tonight. So if you came to know where landfall is going to happen tonight, I can tell you right now, I'm not going to be able to tell you that just yet, but I can show you some scenarios and what we're looking at, the latest on what we're looking at right now. But what we're seeing as far as strengthening and the potential to strengthen is what concerns me more, and the majority of the models are indicating that. There's not really one model right now that's keeping this thing as a weak tropical storm into the Gulf of Mexico, and there's some reasons why, and I'll show you that in just a second. So there's a look. Now that we got all that straight, right? Well, that was from the last storm. It was circled, right? It must have been about the same area. All right, so anyway, let me delete that, and could have just left it that, but I don't know. I got some weird thing. I got to circle a new one here. There's Invest 99, in case you didn't know. Is it looking very impressive tonight on satellite? It's not perfect, but if you looked at the visible satellite earlier, you could tell, like I posted the page, it was starting to get that look, right? You could just see something there. So the couple of things I've been looking at, and I had told y'all earlier on the page that it's important right now to kind of look at this system as it is, because yes, the models are guessing a little bit, and the origination point of where these models are initializing from are important, Because if you got some models initializing here, here, and here, right, where they end up going in the long run are actually going to be different, right? I mean, that's just obvious. So, it is important of, are they originating from the correct spot? Well, we don't know that yet. We'll know that soon as they start flying into this thing. But the general consensus here is, if you look at where the models are, let me see, I got a lot of things open here. So they're initializing and in the latest models from let's say due south there of Jamaica, maybe, kind of, right? All right, let's go back and see. So where are we at? Oh, interesting. Okay, so they have the the low plotted somewhere around here. Okay, now looking at it here without going back to the models there. Looks like it was more north and east, didn't it? It looks like if you were looking at this, that the center might be somewhere in this area. So that's why it can be deceiving, right? Because they have the center plotted somewhere around here. Yeah, there's a little bit of a spin in here, but what if they fly out there tomorrow and find that the center is more up here, or maybe it's over here? So that's what's going to happen when they fly into this thing and see if there is a low-level center. They might not even be a low-level center yet, and that's another thing that could happen. But this is what happened with a storm earlier this season. I don't remember which one it was because I don't, the storms kind of, I think it was Fred maybe, that the center was maybe more to the south and west than it originally was. I know it happened with Grace. Once that happened, that thing went straight into Mexico, across the Yucatan into Mexico. So models clearly changed drastically from that. So the point is that things can and usually do change with these storms. So here's what we look for and what I mentioned in the page earlier. If this thing starts to materialize and develop a little bit sooner and a little bit faster going into tomorrow, I think we got to kind of look at this, along the more northerly tracks that we've been seeing, right? Versus if this thing would stay weak and just kind of meander and then finally develop, then we look at the more western tracks. So a couple of things, I give y'all some things to look at as we go through the next day or so. Let's take a look at that and let's see how fast this thing's formed. Because as I show you the models in a second, you'll see the timing doesn't really intensify this thing until we get into the Gulf of Mexico. So how's the Gulf looking right now? It's not looking good if you want a weak storm. I'll say that because we got warm water, obviously in the Gulf, right? So the storm is going to be coming from down here and crossing somewhere. Again, that remains to be seen exactly where. But no matter where it goes, we got 84 to 85 and probably 86 in there somewhere of very warm water temperatures. So, but like I always say with these systems, it's not just warm water that you need to make a huge hurricane. There's a lot of different elements. If it was just water, every storm would become a 2-3 every single time. You need upper level winds to be conducive. You need it to get away from dry air. You need warm water. You need some other things too. There's a lot of different elements, and that's why it's hard for these things to come together perfectly, and that's why we don't get these 4s and 3s and 4s, 2s, whatever you want to call them, every time, right? It's not perfect. But we are in the heart of hurricane season now, and the conditions have become a lot more ripe than they did earlier this season. So with that said, the Gulf is kind of untapped thus far, because yes, we've had a couple of little systems in there, but there wasn't any really thing strong in there. Nothing that would cause that upwelling that you get, when you get those strong storms that come through, they bring some of that cooler water to the surface. No, we haven't had anything like that yet. So the energy that's around the Gulf is in that red area. And in case you didn't know by this map, red is not a good color. Red is usually not that good, except if you're eating candy. The red is always the best. Not with tropical systems, though. Red is not a good color. So there's a lot of energy left in the Gulf of Mexico that hasn't been tapped yet. And then one more thing to show is the old loop current, right? We talk about a little bit of warm eddies in the water here. There's some warmer areas in the Gulf in here. And unfortunately, where this storm is going to be going, at least through for a period of time, when it's coming into the Gulf of Mexico, it's going to be in this very warm water, and it possibly crosses into the warm water here. So, yeah, those are the elements working that show that this thing has some potential to get stronger, right? A lot of things going for it right now. For the last few storms this season, I've told y'all it had a lot of obstacles. there's not many obstacles for this storm. And another thing to look at right now, for this system moving forward, another thing to look at right now, and I mentioned this in the page earlier, is the interaction with the islands. Look, this is more of a homegrown system. These are the ones that concern me more than those. Sometimes we get those long trackers that come from Africa and they come into the Gulf. That has not been the case recently. It was in years past, but recently the ones that have been, kind of bad. Last year, Laura was a kind of a long tracker, but the majority of them have kind of been homegrown, right? This is closer to home, starting right there in the Caribbean. And one thing to watch for here is the interaction with the Yucatan and the potential interaction with the western side of Cuba, because the western side of Cuba is mountainous. But if it doesn't interact with that, if it goes through and splits the difference here, then we're talking about water from where it is right now to all the way potentially to a landfalling on the Gulf of Mexico. So we'll watch that, right? We'll see. Is it going to be able to squeeze between the two land masses? Because, again, wouldn't be the best track. This track, if something like this would hold, and again, we're early, these tracks will probably shift a little bit back and forth. How you doing, Darren? Good to see you on here. Haven't missed much. Still kind of in the beginning stages here. A lot to talk about still. Don't worry about it. This is similar a little bit if you look back to 2008, Gustav, right? Everybody remembers Gustav. This track like this, if it would stay like that, similar trajectory coming in from that area. So, not saying that's how it's going to be. I'm just saying if these tracks would hold, this is kind of a similar track to what Gustav was. So, something to keep in mind there. As far as the Mardi Gras map, right? I like to call it the Mardi Gras map, the purple, green, and gold map. This is the water vapor. This shows the movement and what we're looking at as far as upper level lows and dry air and do we have anything in there that's going to keep it from getting strong? Well, right now there's a little bit of dry air down here just to the northwest of the storm. I know you can't really see it, but that green area to the bottom right, that's the storm down there. It's not on the screen totally, but this is a little bit of dry air. I don't know if that's going to really do much to it. This big upper level low right here, you can kind of see that spin, right? That's usually a deterrent to these storms, and if it could stay with it, that would be great to knock it off and to create some shear, but that's going to be shifting in this direction and weakening a little bit, so that's not going to help much either, unfortunately. So what that's going to leave is a Gulf that's going to be pretty open for this thing to move into, and really it may be one of those things where it gets into the Gulf as only a tropical storm, maybe even a depression. But at some point, it's probably going to blossom. And, I'm not going to, let's wait and see what happens. But all I'm going to say is that I'm hoping that maybe the models are missing something, possibly, or maybe there's an element that they're missing. But right now, it looks like this thing's going to be able to pretty much do it at once it gets to the Gulf. So let's take a look at some timing here and some different models and just some different things that we're looking at. So this is the GFS model. There's a new one coming out at midnight. I'll be interested to see, what it's going to show. Is it going to change anything? Will that really matter? Once they start flying into this thing, hopefully they fly in there tomorrow and can find maybe something that'll help us out a little bit. But for now, this is what we have to go with. So watch what happens here. This is a look at what we're seeing tonight. There's a look at Invest 99, and this moves forward here. Now watch. I want to show you some timing here, because even going into tomorrow, as we're doing maybe some tropics after dark tomorrow, maybe we're seeing the storm here maybe due west now of Jamaica, but still not really developing quickly, right? Still maybe a depression at that point. Depends on what they find. Maybe a weak storm. I don't know. We'll see. That's tomorrow night. But the point is I'm trying to make is that's not really strengthening quickly just yet. But as we see, now this is on, and is that, I can't really tell. It's not 10,001. Okay. So this is on late Friday night going into Saturday morning now. Now we start to see some intensification. This is west of Cuba. Just clips the western side of Cuba. Probably won't do too much. All right. Now the big time period here is going to be on Saturday morning. At this point, it's probably at least a tropical storm, maybe, just maybe, approaching weak hurricane or Cat 1 hurricane strength, right? Now notice the position of it, right? It doesn't even come close to hitting the Yucatan Peninsula over here. It just clips the western side of Cuba. if this track verifies and we got a hurricane right here, northwest. So look, this is what I'm trying to give you some clues here early on, right? Yes, we won't be able to nail down the landfall exactly at this point maybe, but we can get some clues along the way to kind of see where it might end up. So this is on late Friday and Saturday morning, right? If this thing is clipping the western side of Cuba, I would say folks in Louisiana need to really be concerned about this thing. Maybe even southeast Louisiana, right? Because that is north and that is east and that is fast moving. So another thing to keep in mind is timing. If this thing does affect southeast Louisiana, maybe Mississippi and Alabama, and maybe Florida. Look, I don't want to take the Mississippi, Florida, Alabama coast totally out of this just yet. I said it last time with a storm last year, maybe even storms this year. I can't rule that out just yet, especially if this thing moves faster, because it won't give it enough time for that high to build in over it. And maybe it'll go more east, although that's an outlier right now. Let me make that perfectly clear. That is an outlier solution, not likely. Let's see what happens here. So again, let's look at some clues along the way. Saturday morning, if this thing is west of Cuba, close to the western coast, that might give us some clues in the eventual landfall. Now, at this point, we have water the entire way, and we see some intensification. Now, the latest GFS model has this thing making landfall here and slowing down a little bit at landfall. Around southeast Louisiana. That would be late Sunday night going into Monday. So the speed is faster there. Is this set in stone? Absolutely not. Now let's compare that to the European model. Now the European model here, moving here forward, this is Saturday morning. It's a little bit more west. Let's compare the two models real quick. Let's go back a little bit. Let's see. This is the exact same time as the European model. It's 6 a.m. approximately on Saturday. And the European's a bit more west. We'll say the European is right in the middle of the Yucatan Peninsula and the western side of Cuba, right? So a little bit west, same time. Now, this is Sunday at 6 a.m. And let's move that forward now. This is Sunday at 6 a.m. Here's the differences. European model, way more to the south a bit, as the GFS is very close to Plaquemines Parish there, all right? Now, let's move this even more forward. This is, let's see, 6 a.m. on Monday. Now we see the big differences between the two models. European model getting stronger in the water still, hasn't made landfall yet. That is 6 a.m. Monday, whereas the GFS model has it on shore at 6 a.m. Monday, much more to the east. So a faster motion, not quite as strong there, versus the European model is a little bit of slower motion and probably a little bit stronger there as it makes landfall there. Very close to probably where Delta made landfall last year, if I remember correctly. So there's a difference between the two models, and right now, neither one can really be ruled out, and neither one can really be verified as going to happen, obviously, because they're different. But you get the point. Things have shifted drastically. A couple of days ago, we were looking at this storm going into Mexico very grace-like, right? Very gracefully, we'll say. That's not the case anymore. This has shifted in the last couple of days, and the same players are here, as we always see. This high pressure here is north of the system. Here comes Invest 99 right there. And you can almost see where it's laid out. Look at that ridge trying to build south a little bit here, right? Centered right there around North Carolina. So as it continues to push in, it builds in, but not quite deep. Remember the pattern we had a couple of weeks ago? This high was like this, right? And I told y'all, well, the Grace was coming in, but that high protects everyone in the United States at least. And Grace was going to the west. That is not the pattern we have this time. Might be in a little while, but probably not in time to divert this storm away from the Gulf Coast. So this high builds in, but maybe not enough. And where is it going to build in there? Well, that's going to determine where the storm's probably going to make landfall. GFS indicate it builds in and protects Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, but not quite enough to protect Louisiana. And it goes in right there on the southeastern Louisiana coast. That's the GFS model. The European model, on the other hand, this is Tropical Tidbits, by the way. Levi Cohen runs a great site. And so here we go. This is, let's see. So here's a look at the European model, and watch what you'll notice here. Ridging builds in more south, a little bit stronger there. There's that ridge right now. Now that ridge is still protecting Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, and half of Louisiana, but not enough to protect southwest Louisiana and maybe the eastern Texas portion there. The ridging's going to be key. The ridging's going to be key to see where this thing's going to actually go. It's going to be key to see where this thing ends up. Is the ridging going to be strong? How strong is it going to be? That remains to be seen, unfortunately. We don't know, we don't know the answer to that just yet. But it's the same scenario we see a lot of times. This is not the pattern that we like to see during hurricane season, because with a ridge centered in this area right here, right, it just funnels things in as they form. So we don't like that pattern. We like to see that pattern go away pretty soon. But I don't think it's going to go away in time to, to divert this storm away from the Gulf Coast. It looked like originally a couple, but look, this is something to really stress on, by the way. Let me change this just to kind of show you something real quick. And again, this is not a current one. Please don't think it's current. But let's go back. Maybe, I don't even know. Maybe like the 23rd. That might be enough. Yeah, it is. Check this out. So here we go. This was just on the 23rd. We're talking 2 days ago, okay? So this is what it was indicating. I just want to let y'all know how things can change pretty drastically. Look where that ridge was just a couple of days ago, at least to what it was saying that it was going to be like, right? That was what the ridge was originally supposed to be like heading forward. This was Monday at 6 a.m. This was the model, y'all, 2 days ago. This thing was going straight into Mexico, okay? So just to show you how things can change drastically over a 48-hour period, that's how fast they can change. That ridge is no longer protecting the United States Gulf Coast. This thing is not as strong as originally anticipated, and it just sends it right in to someone along the Gulf Coast. So yeah, something to keep in mind, and something to keep in mind moving forward with this one as well. There are a lot of different scenarios in play still. These are the GFS ensemble members, and you can see that there is not a decided location yet. The cluster is somewhere in here, but there are some tracks going this way, and there still are some going this way. Those are the ones that keep the track, the high pressure to the north, a little bit stronger, right? They send it a little bit more to the west as opposed to the east there. So there you go. A lot of different solutions coming in here with the consensus being somewhere where Delta probably made landfall last year, right? Pretty similar to that. Now, intensity forecast. This is what we look at here. And again, intensity forecasts are the hardest thing to pin down, especially hard this early in the game. Like I've told y'all in the past, whatever the category is being predicted, prepare for one up from that, because this one has some potential there. But right now, the majority, at least the cluster of them, are at least Cat 2, with a couple of them getting into the Cat 3 range here. And I would say that is very likely that we'll see at least a Cat 2 or a Category 3 with this system. I would not be surprised to see at least a Category 3 major hurricane with this. I don't predict these things often like that, but just what I'm seeing and kind of where we're going with this, I'm thinking we have a real shot. I think Category 2 is, I don't want to say a certainty, but it might be close, right? But Cat 3 is certainly on the table. Do we see Cat 4? I would not predict that right now, but I also would not pull it off the table currently. Don't say this is scary. What I say is that just be ready, be prepared in these areas that could be impacted to, make a move, should it become necessary. That is certainly something to do right now in these early stages, because it is looking more and more likely that we're going to have some sort of pretty potent hurricane in the Gulf heading into this weekend. So let's take a look here at a couple of different things. This is how the H-Wharf, and look, I showed y'all some things like this with Laura last year, and some of these images can be, concerning at some point, but it's important to see that the models are in a consensus as far as strength goes. This is the H-Wharf. Now notice it does kind of the same thing that the GFS model was doing, right? So here it is. It's not doing much. It's starting to consolidate a little bit. There's Cuba to the north. At this point, just like the GFS, it was starting to get a little bit going. Maybe Cuba disrupts it a little bit. Once it clears Cuba, we start to get just water now. And then at that point, then the storm begins to, you can see at this point, this is Saturday afternoon. Do we see... at this point, is that when we start to see that concerning look? Possibly. Maybe Saturday afternoon, right? And then at that point, we start to see it coming together. This is Saturday evening. And then this is south. This is, by the way, not an exact track. This is one of the H-Wharf. It's just what it's indicating right now. And then this is Sunday morning. And then, yeah, right? One of the worst things that we could have with this system is a strengthening hurricane at landfall, and it makes such a difference versus a storm that's weakening at landfall. When these storms strengthen at landfall versus weakening, the intensity is just so much more, and I'm hoping that's not going to be the case, but it looks like most models are indicating that could be the case. But notice what it starts to look like potentially as we get into late Sunday going into Monday morning, a potential landfall somewhere along the Gulf Coast. Don't pay attention too much to the landfall location. Pay attention to the intensity that this model is indicating could happen, because if we look at the GFS model, it's almost the same type of thing, right? Little mess of a blob there moving through Cuba. Once it clears Cuba, then we see consolidation and a strengthening toward the end of the track. Both models indicate it. It's not just the H-Wharf. It's not just that, but it's also the European model. It doesn't do anything until we get past Cuba, and then strengthening all the way to landfall, with an impact there somewhere along the coast, along the Gulf Coast. So that to me is the thing that I want to stress tonight. Not necessarily, again, I'll be totally honest. I can't tell you where this thing's gonna make landfall. If I told you it was gonna be landfall, that wouldn't be very right of me to do. But tonight I did want to stress the fact that the majority of the models are indicating that this thing could become very strong. It's not just one. It's not just two. It's quite a few of them. I hope they're dead wrong. I hope this thing doesn't do what it could do, but if it gets to the Gulf relatively unscathed, if it goes between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula, I think we're going to have some issues moving forward somewhere along the Gulf Coast. So something to keep in mind there as far as strength goes. I don't know what the intensity is going to be, but I think a category 2 or 3 is something that is in the realm of possibility. Could we see a 4? Can we really take that off the table right now? I mean, it's late August at this point, and the conditions look pretty good. So, I couldn't. There's no way I can say tonight that we can't get up to that point. I would not say we're going to get there, but I can't say we're not going to. Again, hope for something that can disrupt this thing. So that's a look at the models and, what we're looking at there as far as, what they're thinking of intensity and, strength with this thing moving forward. So let me look back. Sometimes I'm scared to look down at the chat here. A lot of people on tonight. Appreciate y'all joining. A lot of comments. I'm going to skim through some of this chat here, see if I can answer some questions. See what we do here. How you doing, Lex? Good to see you on here. Ricky, good to see you on here as well. Thank you guys for the stars. I really appreciate that. Miles, good to see you. Blake, appreciate it, man. All right, candles would make this better. Yes. Well, I don't know if it's appropriate for the candles right now with this particular storm. Maybe that would be more appropriate for Fred. Let's see. Thank you, Robin. Hi, Jody. Good to see you on here. JJ, good to see you on here as well. Ocean Springs, thanks for joining. 1 year ago, Friday is when Hurricane Laura hit Lake Charles. Yeah, it's a bad time of the year, right? Katrina as well, right? This last week of August is just really. We even had Andrew back in '92. It's something about this last week of August that produces these storms we have to watch closely, right? I mean, it's not surprising. It's late in the season. It's close to the peak of the season. The conditions are ripe, and if you get something that has good timing like this, well, yeah, we're gonna have, we need to watch them closely. So, thanks, Jordan, appreciate that. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Carla from Diamond Head. Thanks for joining tonight. Texas Gulf Coast, Texas Louisiana border. Winona says possible. We'll have to watch that scenario. Certainly, look, if y'all are, that's one thing I wanted to stress, and thanks for reminding me that. If y'all are watching from Texas, Louisiana border, even as far west, JJ, I don't want to hear as far west as like Houston, these areas are not out of this yet, okay? Because remember, we've had storms. I think it was Fred, right? Remember, we had Fred start over there by Panama City, come back over to the west around Gulfport, Mobile, and then reverted back to the original tracks that it was thinking in the first place. Well, remember the original tracks with this one. Sometimes it goes back to that. The original tracks with this one were more toward the Houston, Texas, Louisiana border. We've seen shifts east today. We could very easily see shifts back to the west if that center relocates or is somewhere else than the models are indicating. So certainly along the around Texas, Louisiana border, same areas last year. And I want to hear it. Laura, Delta, those areas right there. These areas have a very, probably equal possibility right now with what we're seeing right now on the models. Yes, the models have shifted east, but we can see them shift right back in the other direction. So please don't think that it can't go back that way, because it certainly can. So certainly something we have to watch for this. Thanks, Blake. I appreciate that. Gulf Coast updates promised me landfall tonight. You heard wrong, JJ. I promise you heard wrong. I know there's some people that probably want me to call the landfall. I just can't do it. Thanks, Georgette. There's no way it doesn't enter the Gulf or goes into the Bay more west. Well, Kaylee, I talked about that scenario about this thing. If it stays weak, it just never materializes. That's the hope, right? Let's maybe it stays weak in here, just kind of drifts a little bit, and then got my act together. But I'm too far south now. I'm going to go to the west here. That's not a likely scenario at this point, but that was the original scenario. It's an outlier, obviously, right now, but we want this thing to stay weak for as long as possible. But obviously, those scenarios that's not a likely scenario at this point. But it's something we can hope for, right? Jamie says, I'm not worried until Jesse's worried. Yeah, that's a good strategy, really, right? Thanks, Elena. I appreciate that. I wouldn't say I'm worried right now. I'm something. I don't know the word for it. I have to come up with that word. I can't come up with it right now. I'm a little more concerned about this one than any other one we've had this season. I'll say that. Wow, 2 Facebook friends watching with you. That's incredible, JJ. Alexa says, needs to stay away from Lake Charles. Yeah, I know a lot of people share that sentiment with you. I know there's places in Lake Charles that aren't even recovered from Laura last year, so this is not good. Hell, there's places in New Orleans not even recovered from the Katrina yet. It's 16? Is it 16 years this year? Those types of storms take years, if not decades in some spots, and some of them never recover at all. I'm sure there's places along the Florida Panhandle recovering from storms there. Michael, right? Oh, I can guarantee this place along the Florida Panhandle still recovering from Michael. Michael was a generational storm. Heather says we needed a real deal. I try to give it to you. Let's see. Everyone go dump some ice from your freezer in the Gulf to cool it down. If you want to try it, be my guest. I don't know if that's going to work. You'd think by now they could create some like massive Gulf-sized piece of ice or something, right? I mean, we use our heads. I mean, just a massive piece of ice that's carried by like something. Would it be a barge? I don't know. But they would somehow be able to drop the ice into the path that this thing's going to be traveling in the Gulf. Would that do anything? I don't know. But you think they would have thought of that by now. When they put the target on us this early, it goes to Florida, Jamie says. Maybe. I don't know. That'd be a tough one. That'd be really far east. Yeah, Brianna says we don't need another Gustav. No, Gustav was a high impact storm. We evacuated New Orleans for Gustav, and then I started working in Baton Rouge, doing TV there in 2011. And all the folks at the TV station and the folks I talked to in Baton Rouge said that Gustav was their Katrina. They said Gustav wrecked through Baton Rouge area, and the power outages were unbelievable. And I didn't realize at the time, because obviously we evacuated from New Orleans for Gustav, but there wasn't much. There was some national coverage of it, but I didn't realize how badly hit Baton Rouge was for Gustav. But that was a bad one. for that area. Let's see. Is that possible? Yeah, Jamie, it's possible. Cat 3 is certainly possible with this. Sharon, thanks for joining. That's what we're wondering too. There's so much talk about a Cat 3 or 4, but you never know what to really believe. That's why I come here. Yeah, Lex, look, I'm going to tell you, there is some talk of a category 3 or 4, and look, the conditions. Look, what I'll say is the conditions in the Gulf right now, as far as the energy available, it's going to be going very close to that loop current, and the water temperatures are in 84 to 86. Probably some isolated spots in there, like I said, in the loop current that are higher. All of that is enough to support a category 3 or a 4, right? Will there be some other elements toward the end of the forecast that might affect this? Some air current, some shear maybe that's not being picked up, maybe some dry air. Those are the variables right now that are hard to pin down, with this one. So something we'll just have to watch moving forward. But certainly the potential is there, and certainly the fuel is there for this thing to intensify pretty quickly. And it might happen in the last few hours, which is always the worst. In the last 12 to 24 hours, you can get these things strengthening as they go in and make their landfall, and that is not ideal. Sometimes I read these comments and I have no idea what's even going on. Nita says, I figured put a rover thing on Mars. We sent a man to the moon. Hell, we got a lot of people in need of jobs to make ice. Okay, I think we're talking about the ice in the Gulf still. No idea sometimes looking down, because if I don't see the context of these, I have no idea where we're going. And JJ's still talking about boiling off and some dry ice there. Okay, well, y'all come up with it. Yes, Michelle, Lake Charles, some models on the Lake Charles after devastating storms that do not need another one in that area. You're absolutely right about that. Sarah, thanks for joining. I'll need to be watching it. You're right about that. Blake, the chances for Mississippi right now are probably on the lower end. However, with the shifts we've been seeing, if this thing does develop faster and it has a faster forward speed, then that would allow the storm to get into the Gulf faster, and it wouldn't allow that high to build in as fast. And the quicker and the faster this thing develops, the more east it's going to go. So keep that in mind. The slower it is, probably leads to more of a western track. And then there's always the variables of where does the low level center going to be. They need to go into that still. They're not flying into it. We get a lot more information, and the models mean so much more when they fly into it. They sample the upper air, they see if there's a low level center, and then they put all that data into the new models, and then they run, and they mean a lot more. So they mean a little bit right now, but again, there's so much that can still happen with this thing. Southeast Texas, Tiffany, gotta watch it still. Certainly needs to watch it. Yes, JJ, that model does have this thing. The GFS I think you're referring to has it coming right through my front door, actually. So, yeah, not the best track for me here, but again, I'm speaking for all of us here. Nobody wants this thing. Let's see. Stay the hell away from Southeast Louisiana. That's Diane. A lot of people share your sentiment there. Phil says Euro almost looks like a more worst case scenario. It's not a good one. None of them are good. Jennifer says New Orleans needs to be prepared. Yeah, you do need to be prepared. Hope for the best. Expect what is the saying? Prepare for the worst. Hope for the best. Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. It can be interchangeable there, but yeah, you get the idea. Yep, Rachel, the GFS is not for the. Yeah, it does make a lot of people sick. Space lasers. It's our year. Landmass is closed. Nita says, I think that's Mississippi, right? We'll have to see what the name becomes. It might be Ida, or well, they have this thing out here, and this has an 80% through 5 days. This one has a 60% through 3 days. It's kind of a race to become the name storm, right? Because it's going to depend. One of them's going to be Ida, probably. One of them's going to be Julian. I don't know. Which one do you think sounds worse? That's up for you. That's up for debate, I guess. But it'll either be Ida or Julian. We'll have to see. Let's see here. What are y'all thinking as far as category? Tough to say right now. I'd say mid-grade hurricane probably right now, 2 or 3 at least. We'll see. Ridge, you're fired. Thanks a lot, Ridge. Ridge ran. Yeah, thanks a lot, Ridge. You're really doing a lot for us there. Yep, Jennifer says that's a beast. It has the potential to become a beast, unfortunately. All right, look at this. See some. I hope this thing doesn't become another Katrina. No, nobody wants that. Definitely don't want another Katrina. Heather says landfall. What day? Well, Heather, that's going to depend on the speed of the system. The GFS that I showed earlier had it like late Sunday into Monday. The Europeans more like Monday morning, afternoonish. Right now, I would say anywhere from Sunday to Sunday night to maybe like Tuesday. I don't. It's Sunday Tuesday time frame, depending on the speed of the system. The speed has been trending a little bit faster today than it originally was. Originally, it looked like more of a Monday Tuesday thing. Right now, it looks like more of a Sunday Monday thing. Now, with that said, that doesn't leave a lot of time. This one's sneaky, right? This is one of those homegrown sneaky systems. It's a sneak. So what's going to happen is what you can see is tomorrow's Thursday, and a potential landfall happens Sunday night. So that gives you tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday as full days. Sunday is that day where everybody's scrambling. Right? I mean, like if it's going to happen Sunday night. So I don't know, maybe go get some waters or something. Like I don't make some, like, do a couple of things tomorrow, and just in case it's coming to your area, do whatever you kind of do. Maybe not everything, but enough that if you find out it's going to be coming to your area, that you maybe only have to do half the work at that point. So maybe do a few little things, and it might not be bad to get a few things taken care of, because of the fact that it's late August, and if it's anything like last year, we'll have things happening in September, October, and early November too, right? I mean, we don't hope that's the case, but it might be. So I don't know. That's all I gotta say about that. But yeah. Jesse, will you be going live later tonight? How late, Brandy? Will you be going live later tonight? Your world is cold. I mean, it's 10:30 right now. I don't think we're gonna have any. I don't think I'll go live later, but I'll certainly be posting the some different models that come out in the overnight hours. We got a new GFS at midnight, and then some Euro model at 1, a couple of new model runs at 2, and that's when I usually just am out. At that point, I'm like, all right, I can't take it anymore. And then start a new day tomorrow and see what chaos that'll bring tomorrow as well. We have birds flying east by hundreds in Panama City, Glory says. I'm scared to even know what that means, Lord. All right. What did Louisiana do to Mother Nature? I promise we're sorry. Yes, we are sorry about that. Save the candles for the power outages. Yeah, you're right, Greg. You know what? I'm not going to use them for this. I'm going to use them for when the power goes out in case. That's a good point. Watching from Lafitte. Thanks for watching. Is it going to New Orleans or Southwest Louisiana? Thomas, I can't pin that down right now, but I can tell you it's a possibility, right? A lot of comments tonight. Y'all, I'm trying to get, we know his body language. This won't be good. Oh, great. Didn't know that I gave away things like that. I don't know. Thank you. Appreciate it. No problem, Blake. Vicky, thanks for joining. Pensacola. Sorry, guys. JJ, what's wrong with Pensacola? You busted my bubble, Jody says. No dry air to help us out. Not really, Eric. Not right now. It doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of dry air out there. Yeah, Polly, Polly, what we're looking at, and I don't know if y'all are still on. I hope y'all are. But Polly says, do you think Friday night is when we'll see tight lines? So let me show you. Let me go back real quick to the let me reload this real quick. Do we have a late model? Nope, no late night model just yet in the GFS. That'll be coming in soon. So as we go into Friday, is kind of that point I was talking about. This is late Friday night. So at that point, the things to look for is, where is the location? Is it close to Cuba on the western side of the island there, or is it in the middle of the two, or is it close to the Yucatan Peninsula? We're going to see a lot of clues by the time we get into Friday night, because the location of where the storm actually is, if it's over here where the GFS is indicating, then yeah, this area needs to watch out. moving in. If it's here in the middle of the two, well, then you probably got a track over in this direction that needs to watch out a little bit more, right? If it's close to the Yucatan over here, well, then you probably got a track over here that needs to watch out. So the positioning of this thing is going to be important moving forward here, as far as where it's going to be located. I do think, obviously, at this point, they're going to be flying into it. The models are certainly going to be a lot tighter at this point, and we're going to know a lot more by the time we get into Friday night early on Saturday, and that'll be the time to really rush to make preparations at that point. So it has the potential to get kind of chaotic around somewhere along the Gulf Coast, right? Because it's not going to allow for a lot of time. And I don't know how it all works as far as logistics go with evacuations and contraflow and all that stuff. But when we finally do peg this thing down about where it's going to go, and of course we hope this is not going to be a huge deal as far as strength goes. We just hope that's not going to be the case, but we need to prepare like it is. It's not going to leave much time for that because this is moving into Saturday morning now with a potential landfall going into Sunday night, early Monday morning. So you'll have a day. And a day is nice, a day is long, and that's enough to get some things prepared, but there will probably be a little chaotic period somewhere. It's that time period that gives me personally a lot of anxiety. I know it gives you guys a lot of anxiety when it's just, it's go time, and you know where the storm's going, and it's time to take action. You got all those press conferences happening on the news. I can't even watch the news. I turn off the TV at that point because I'm like, I just can't take that. It gives me anxiety. You know what you got to do for your family. You know what you got to do as far as your planning goes. At that point, yeah. So we'll see what happens. It's just not. I just don't like when there's not a lot of time here. It's gonna be bad. Let's see. Cautious. Time to tell. Indy. New Orleans will take the hit for Lake Charles. Jennifer says. Yeah, Zeta. Dustin, yeah, Zeta. And look, trust me, I remember Zeta. They said Cat 2. I think it was actually upgraded as a Cat 3, right, after the season. Zeta was intense around this area. Man. No problem. Faye, thanks for watching from Beaumont. Miranda says, Gustav terrified me in Baton Rouge. Yeah, Gustav was the one for Baton Rouge. Yeah. Let's see. Gustav was terrible in Denham Springs. Is it Dreama? Dreama says. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Clean your catch basins, Michelle says. Always a good idea. You're who I believe is Corpus Christi, a potential landfall. Corpus Christi, a potential landfall. That would be one of the outlier solutions right now. But like I said earlier, that would obviously be on the western side of this envelope. Well, actually, none of the models actually go that far west right now, but it's something to watch for if these things do shift back to the west. But that would be drastic. I think Corpus Christi for now is looking pretty good, and it would take something pretty drastic that would be missed right now that would shift it back in that direction. So I think right now, and that would and any of these tracks would put you on the western side of anything that would make landfall. So even if you get a track this far to the west, you'd be on the western side of this, which you should be okay over there. So right now it's looking good in that area. As far as, let's see, that was 2008, right? Gustav? I'm just curious. I'm just curious here. There's Gustav. Or yeah, Gustav. Okay, yeah, that's Gustav right there. So it is similar, right? It's not exact positioning. Gustav is a little bit more north, but you see that going across it's the same pattern, I'll say. It's the same pattern, right? Riding along that high and going into Louisiana there. So that was Gustav in 2008. So it is a sort of similar there. Not saying that this is going to be exactly like that, but I'm just saying that the players here and the scenario is kind of the same situation there. Anyway, love how you go into detail. Thanks, Jessica. Appreciate that. Anyone else see that? Champagne or martini glass forming in the glass center, right? Oh, perfect for tropics after dark. Is that it right there, right? That's the martini glass right there. I think that's what you're talking about. Anyway, yeah, I think so. You can confirm that for me. Let's see. David says, Jesse, at what point are you leaving? I'm not making any plans to leave just yet. It's way too soon for all that. I was here during Zeta, last year. power went out when I was doing a live video. But anyway, I am not planning right now on leaving. It's way too soon for that. So is this Ida? Sally says, I said when I saw the hurricane names, Ida could be a beast. When you get to that IJK area, those are usually the beast. I think I saw something that said I's are the most retired storms in history. And again, don't share this and say I said this storm's gonna be retired. I didn't say that. I said in history the I's are the most retired. It's the time though. It's the time. You usually get to I, J, and K around this time of year, August, September. It's the peak. So yeah, that's the only reason. Eric, when's the approximate landfall? Looks like Sunday, Monday-ish, maybe stretching to Tuesday if it goes a little bit slower. If it goes more west, you're probably looking more Monday into Monday evening, maybe. I don't know. It's going to be in that time period, though. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, probably at the latest as far as time goes. So, yeah, we're not talking about – this is not a long-range forecast. We're not 7 to 10 days out right now. We're really more, 4 to 6? 3 to 5? 3 to 5, right? Thursday, Fridays, yeah, like more like a 3 to 5 day kind of thing as far as that. So it's not like a long range, let's not take this serious thing. We're close now that this becomes more realistic, right? It's not like, oh, well, a 14-day GFS model, well, we're going to believe that crap. No, this is a 3 to 5 day thing, so we need to take it a little more seriously, right? They're all indicating this will happen. Brandy, I probably won't be going live tonight after midnight. Because there's no kind of decision that can be made tonight or tomorrow, until we know where this thing's going to really start to go. We're not going to find out anything tonight. I mean, David, I don't have like a list I check off for me to leave. If it's a Cat 3 or higher, and it's going to be a direct landfalls, where I am, I probably would leave. Yeah, I mean, I don't really feel like staying through that, especially with the kids. They'll be scared. They were scared during Zeta, and that would be worse than Zeta. And yeah, they were kind of scared for that. So I don't have a list that I check off that tells me, okay, it's time to leave at this point. But I just use my best judgment and see what happens. see where it's gonna go. Tiffany, I cannot say this is going to stay away from Louisiana. I cannot do that yet. Right now, all models basically take it along the Louisiana coast somewhere, except for this one, the UK model taking it to the west, close to Houston area. Galveston, right? The majority of them take it along the Louisiana coast somewhere. That's the current models. That is absolutely subject to change, though. But there's no way I can rule out Louisiana, obviously, right now. Lisa, tough to know. I mean, at first, I don't know where you're located about evacuating. It's too early for that, but obviously you'd want to evacuate west of where the storm would go, right? You don't want to be on the east side and be where it could hook back in that direction, so you want to go west. At what point do you evacuate why? At what point do you evacuate your family? David, why is that you flipping me off, dude? I don't know if I did something to offend you. Okay. So anyway, Euro has been way off during the game. His GFS has been on point. Yeah, Euro has been struggling a little bit in the last couple of years, but broken clock is right twice a day, right? We'll see what happens. Damn. All right. Gosh, it's fast how we all have time to leave if needed. Yeah, that's the tough part, Heather. I don't like these sneaky ones. Yeah, that's another one, Jessica Harvey, right? That was August. What was the landfall? 25th, I think, if I remember right. Was it today? 4 years ago tonight. There's something about this week. It's just there's always something out there. Yeah, JJ, appreciate that, man. Let's see. I was cut off. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I got my roof. Got the roof replaced too, Patty. Got the roof replaced after Zeta, and might last a year if this comes here. David, I don't know, man. I thought I answered that. I don't know when I leave. Um, I guess we'll see, right? I evacuated for Katrina, and Gustav as well. Um, I don't know. Mike Gardette. Hey, what's up, Mike? David has asked you 12 times when to prepare to leave. I think he wants to hitch a so y'all noticed that too. What's going on there, David? Um, if you Sharon says if you were to evacuate, will you be posting updates from another location? Maybe I don't know. I don't. Do y'all know something I don't about about me needing to evacuate that you're not telling me? Because please send me a please get into the DMs and let me know what y'all know, because there's a lot of questions about me evacuating, and if y'all think I need to leave tonight, please let me know. I don't know if I'm gonna evacuate, and I don't know if I mean, I probably would try if I have the ability to still provide updates. I would do that as much as I can. Yeah. So if I have to evacuate, I will certainly try to update, um, as much as I can. But y'all are starting to scare me with these evacuations questions. So, yeah. Okay. Seriously. Um, let's see. David, let me just say right now, you don't need to leave tonight or tomorrow. You don't need to do that. It's still, this thing is, look at it. It's still a wave, still a little wave out there in the Caribbean, right? It's still got a long way to go here. So don't leave tonight or tomorrow, right? We need to get this thing past Cuba and into the Gulf of Mexico, and then let's see what's gonna happen with this thing moving forward. It's too early for that right now. Let's see, the latest GFS. Yeah, the latest GFS runs yeah, the latest GFS runs are not good for New Orleans, right? They're not. But in the past, I mean, people that have been in the cone and on these early models, a lot of times they don't end up in the actual landfall location. It's not always the case, but we've seen that several times. So there's still a lot that has to be decided with this. No, no, I hear you, David. It is a tough situation, and trust me, I'm gonna keep y'all posted every step of the way here as we go into tomorrow, and then Friday, and then Saturday, and we'll see what happens, and at that point we'll see what kind of decisions have to be made. If you feel it's hard for me to. That's one thing I really can't do is advise whether you leave or not. I mean that's your decision. If you don't feel comfortable, then leave. I mean, leave and hope nothing happens and come back, and okay, that's great. Nothing happened in our area. But if there's potential for something, to impact the area and you don't feel comfortable, then just get out of here. Just get out of here. Yeah, that's right, Phil. Just have a plan. Yeah, just have a plan right now, and if it's a mess, if it's a miss, it's better. You're right. It's better than being caught off guard. It's absolutely right. Jen says I stayed for Laura and Delta, and I should have evacuated. Yeah, man, I tell you, Laura was intense. If you were over there. Ashley says they're treating you like Nash. If you go, we're all going. Yeah, I'll live stream my trip out of here. Y'all will know, right? And I'll let you know if I'm leaving. Um, you know, I won't tell y'all to, you got to make your own decisions, but I'll certainly let y'all know if I plan on leaving. And I'll leave it at that, right? I'll say we are leaving, and then y'all can just take that for what you want. I'm not leaving yet, though. Let's see. Phil, I invited you to the DMs for questions about the storm. Let me make sure you know that, Phil. Only coming to DMs for questions about storms. All right, nothing else. Let's see. Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate that. Oh, Weather Channel. Yeah, I don't know what Weather Channel's doing right now. Weather Channel is Weather Channel. They're probably playing some kind of, I don't like, SOS rescue stuff, or stories about wolves in Alaska, or big truck marathons with 18 wheel. Like, I'd be surprised if they're actually even tracking this or talking about this. They might be, and forgive me if they are. But yeah, I don't know. You'd think the Weather Channel would talk about weather a lot of times, but when you turn it on, about 80 or 90% of the time, they're not talking about weather, and that's a little frustrating. They used to, but not so much anymore. Oh, I got back to live now. I got back to live chat. Wow, that was a lot of comments. I am here now. Let's see. What do we have going on? Is that the Yucatan? It's hard to tell. The Yucatan. This is the Yucatan, Cuba, and so yeah, what I'll be watching here, right? This is obviously the what, Invest 99, and let's see where it goes. Right when we talk about, right, you got the GFS saying it's gonna be somewhere around here. You got the Euro saying it's gonna be somewhere here in the middle. And you got all of us here in the Gulf Coast that are pretty sad and nervous watching where this thing's actually going to cross through these two. So that's something to, keep an eye on, because position is going to be important here as we go into Friday-ish. More western track would obviously take it a little bit more to the west probably, and then a more eastern track would take it a little bit more this way. So something to keep an eye on, and something to, watch for as we, move forward into time, right? So let's see what's going on in this GFS. Do we have any runs? There'll be a lot of people with the runs soon. I'm trying to see if we have a latest GFS run here. All right, yeah, they only got 42 hours. It's not really going to show us much, is it? That's all we got. That's all we got right now from the latest GFS coming in. How does that compare to the 18Z, the other one? What is that valid at? Highway to Hell is on Weather Channel right now. Thank you for confirming that to me. Okay. So there you go. What is this? This is 18Z Friday. And this is 18Z Friday here on the latest overnight run. Little slower, looks like, maybe. This is 18Z. This is 18Z. I'm getting confused now. No, actually, it's about the same position, but stronger on the latest overnight run. A little stronger there, not much. All right, so I can't really tell much until we get some more. Until we get some more data points coming in, which will start to trickle in a little bit as we go into the next few minutes or so. So we'll see what that latest GFS says as it comes in. Yep, you're right, Karen. I'll take the when I decide if we're if the storm looks like it's going to be coming in this direction, I decide to leave. I'll tell everyone, and we can all line up and drive out of here with confidence. All right, so that is the latest on Invest 99. Probably going to be Ida, probably maybe Julian, depends on what happens with that one out there I just showed y'all. So not much change then, Joe, huh? Not much change from the 18Z then. That's pretty much where it was for the 18Z coming across Cuba there. Yeah, actually. Maybe a little bit east, actually, of where the 18Z run was. This is late Friday night. This is about midnight on Friday, and that's the same time there. Very close, very close. I bet you we don't have much change for this latest GFS. We're gonna see. So what I will tell you is basically everything I told you already. Is Texas Louisiana border as far west as Houston. Let me Let me go to this map. We can see the United States here. All right, so Texas Louisiana border, I would say anywhere over in this area all the way across here. I would even extend this over to Mississippi and maybe extreme Alabama. That is the area right there. I know it's not narrowed down a lot. I know there's a lot of population and it can go a lot of ways there, but that area that I just marked in pink, those are the areas that need to watch this closely. All the Louisiana coast, stretching over there toward Texas, stretching over there toward Mississippi, Alabama coast. If this thing is faster and stronger, it's going to move in quicker than that high can build back down, and it could go more to the east. Okay, so that is a scenario that could happen. If it's slower, doesn't develop as fast, then we're going to see a more western track. Split the difference. That's what the models are doing right now. Okay, so a lot of things can still happen. Don't be shocked when we see these models flip and flop. Could we see them go more east? Absolutely. Could we see them go back to the west? Yes. There's a lot to be determined right now. Start flying into the system. Let's see if we have a closed low. Let's start sampling the air. We'll start getting the models to look a little bit better. We'll know a lot more soon. We know some tonight. We know a little bit, but we'll know a lot sooner than later. So that's what we'll continue watching. Let's see what happens over the next couple of days. We'll hope for the best with this. Has the potential to be very strong. We hope it's not. Prepare like it is. So that's the latest on Invest 99. Appreciate y'all for joining tonight. I will continue to post these updates on the page. I'll post the latest GFS when it finally comes all the way through, and see what that looks like. Right now we got 60 hours of it. Yeah, it's not all there. That's where it goes. Okay, so I'll post that in the page as it comes in. We'll look at the overnight Euro model, look at the overnight model suites. They come in around 2 a.m. And I'll post what I'm seeing there on the page as well. So again, though, a lot can change. Let's see what they fly into tomorrow night. As much as the system doesn't look very healthy right now, it does. It has something about it that shows me that it probably won't take much for it to get going once it gets in a better environment. So thank you all for watching tonight. Stay with the page. Share this video if you'd like to. Share, tag your friends on the page. If y'all, give them a reliable source here, because they can get some unreliable sources sometimes, on the internet. So thank you all for joining. Thank you, Malone Roofing Services, for being a sponsor to the page. Really appreciate it, as always. And we'll watch this together over the next couple of days and see what's going to happen with potential Ida or maybe even Julian. We'll see what this becomes first and foremost. All right, thanks y'all for joining tonight, and everybody have a good night and stay with the page as we move forward into this threat that's going to be looking like